Heyo everyone, MimiVix here with a lore theory video involving events in patch 7.4, where what we experienced, or rather what we did not experience, is setting some interesting possibilities for the story going forward. Apologies for how I sound, I'm still getting over the flu, but as always, a spoiler warning is in effect as there may be some people that have not completed the story up to the most recent patch. Please enjoy the game at your own pace. And with that out of the way, let's jump in. Shortly after we began our journey into 7.4, we in fact did go to Treno, and events unfolded there as we learned how not everyone on this star fled to Alexandria during that war. Instead, they opted to try and survive in this new reality, with Levin-charged Star suffering from Levin sickness, and personally taking everything in stride, which makes them a lot stronger than they appear. We've met some interesting characters, learned a small amount about them, and watch as one of our friends goes through a crisis of identity. After all of this is resolved, we return to Tyrol, and that was it. That was what we experienced. At the time, I was bordering on contracting the flu, so I failed to realize that we actually missed a lot. In the patch 7.4 trailer, we are given dialogue that we did not experience.
No matter what comes or how hard it gets, we'll choose joy over fear and stand together. There's nowhere else I'd rather be.
As well as a few scenes that hint at a terrible incident that we also did not see. But it was mentioned in a moment of dramatic irony. The mentioning of a cataclysm that will destroy the realm where Treno stands, and as much as I don't want to have that happen, I don't think we have much of a choice. The writing is on the walls. There is a high possibility that Treno, and subsequently the Ninth, will cease to exist. Halmarut mentions the Great Withering, and claims that it is nature's proclamation, which, if we take at its most literal meaning, is saying the worlds are shriveling up and dying. From an ethereal standpoint, this could be reflecting on the life cycle of the world crystals and rebirth, which, as we've mentioned in other videos, gradually deteriorates over the life of the star and ends in the death of the mother crystal, and thus creates a cataclysm. These events occur naturally and can cause a rejoining in Final Fantasy XIV's universe, which, while not noticeable to the people on the source, actually affect their personal aether density, as the Warrior of Light has been directly called out several times for being ethereally dense. The fact that Treno does not have an aether crystal to be used for quick transport to this location makes me concerned. I would hope that with the amount of effort that went into recreating Treno, even if it is such a small location, would justify it surviving past this patch and expansion, it does bring a fear that they may just send it crashing down like a child playing with building blocks, which is not anything I can relate to. I don't understand the enjoyment of destroying something that you put so much effort into. But this is a theory video, so the lack of faster travel is a little foreboding, even if we have seen it in previous expansions, such as with the Dome and Enclave having a means to get to a transport to the southern front. But the main difference between that and this is the fact that the southern front is on the source, and Treno is on a completely different star. On that subject, we have not received any closure as to how our world is handling the fact that we look like a molecule model at a science fair. The Ninth is literally connected to us right now. I believe they mentioned that a direct link was severed, which is why we have to use the airship to pass through the layer in order to reach Treno, but it's still a point that has not been addressed in-game yet. The Ninth is nearly fused to the source right now, which should be causing strain on the aether currents for both stars. Granted, the Ninth, in theory, is a weaker planet than the source, which means it could inadvertently be absorbed by our star. This lines up with the events that occurred in Final Fantasy IX's story, with the Terran star trying to absorb Gaia in order to save itself, but it did not succeed. This can be seen in the trailer, where we see a sky shattered. This skyline belongs to living memory. It can be identified by looking at the remnants of the structures on the floating debris as they match the spires and points on them in our current living memory. We are then shown a blazing blue moon, which is the Gaian moon, the 9th moon, piercing through the skies of living memory. We hear a prayer that is being spoken from when we were in Treno, as well as Kryle's response.
O life, flourish on this faraway shore. Unfurl your fragile petals with fearless joy.
Of course, those words and our people will always be in my heart.
And mentioning that these words and her people will live in her heart, which, to be frank, is both touching and feels like a farewell. I don't like goodbyes. I just don't. Between that line and knowing that the Malala of Treno have put down roots, which implies they aren't leaving no matter what, there are a lot of plant connections going on here, really builds a bit of tension, at least for me. I am a everyone must survive kind of person most of the time, so doomsaying here is kind of sad. I want them to live. I want them to leave and come to our star. Sadly, it seems I'll have to wait for patch 7.5 to get these answers. But before I end the video, did anyone else notice that Calix seemed to express remorse for a moment? When he was told to say goodbye to any loved ones, he paused before reinstating his pure wishes of removing death from people. I wonder if being a sickly child and seeing how it affected people around him, if perhaps he did have someone he was close to, but lost. Maybe I'm trying to make him more human than how he's been shown, projecting just a smidge. Maybe. Anyway, what are your thoughts on the events to come in the next patch? Let me know in the comments. I would love to hear your theories and ideas. As always, thanks so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next video.